Hello, 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 and welcome, welcome. I am your baby boomer, Kitty Lane from the Peninsula in Virginia, back with another Create and Relate. Come on in the room. So, how is everybody today? Whew, I'm breathing. That's a good thing. I am in the creative zone today. And with that being said, I have a couple of choices. Um, just a few things I wanted to talk to you about today. One of them, and it was so funny because I set this up probably about, hi, Michelle, how are you? Lurking is fine. Lurking is fine. And I'm glad you're here. I'm really glad you're here. I only have one topic today, and it's something that all of us always talk about. If you check the description box, you will see my video star of the week. Hi. Hello, Marianne. How are you? I am so happy you're here. And it's really cute because the time you came in is my birthday. 12:02. Yay. Go Sag. Go Sag. Okay, but like I said, there are a couple of things that I wanted to talk about. Marshally, I am so sorry. Mm, I'm gonna get it right. I'm once I get a name, I'm good with it. I just have to get them first. I just have to get them. But I'm so happy that you're here. Um, Accountability is what I want to talk about today. It's something that all of us speak of a lot, but I kind of took a nosedive into it, not as much as I wanted to. So it's just going to be touched on today, but a little more in depth than what we usually say about it. Also, if you look in the description box, then you know, happy birthday, happy birthday. But you'll see my video star of the week. My video star of the week is Ginger. Her channel is Yarn Geek. She's one of the people that I'm not going to say envy because I don't know how to be envious, but it's like if I could, that is a kind of model of what I would like to have. I understood. I understood, Marshall. Um, Trying to keep my thoughts focused today. I'm dealing with a bit of a headache, so please bear with me. Uh, First of all, I'd like to tell you that this weekend was not only hard for a dear friend of mine, but it was hard for me as well. And I had not really disclosed it this year. I did last year. I lost my mom 6 years ago on Father's Day. My mother, being a single parent, was both parents to me. And on Father's Day was when we chose to celebrate Parents' Day or Single Parent Day. And my mother and I would always go to restaurants that we normally didn't go to, or we would just have a mother-daughter day inside and do things like watch our favorite show, Gunsmoke, and eat popcorn or pizza or something like that. And I miss that. The actual date of her passing was the 16th, which of course was yesterday. So Sunday and yesterday were really hard for me. They were tearful days, more joyous tears than sad tears. The sad tears are because I miss her, but the memories, I I can't forget those. So you know what I'm coming off of, but I had a I had a session this morning with my therapist. It was a very positive session, so I'm happy about that. Now, executive decisions. For right now, every single whip I have is on hold. Every single one. When I had my auction Saturday, my intentions were to auction off 2 of my whips. And I'm not going to say that that's not going to happen in the future. But because I was kind of discombobulated Saturday, I did not pull those whips out in time. So I just kind of did the wing it thing on Saturday. But as a result, I got a couple of orders. I got an order for a basket, dark green, light green, and pink. So I went into my stash and I started pulling out greens and pinks. And as this one started working up, I was very not happy with the colors. And I told my daughter, I said, it's not working out right. This was the first one I started, but the green wasn't enough to make the size of the bottom that I wanted, especially not running 3 strands. So then I started this one. And whereas it's very pretty, it just wasn't what I envisioned for the colors that I was given. This is just the washcloth, y'all. So I did take a trip to the store and I got the colors that I needed. And those were my colors. And this is what it made. So I did this yesterday with breaks and everything. I was able to start and finish this yesterday. So I was happy with that. And I'll disclose something to you that I told my therapist this morning. When I woke up Saturday morning, I was ready to take every stitch of yarn that was in my eyesight and put them in garbage bags and get rid of them. I was not in a happy space. I felt like if I got rid of something that was clogging my brain, that I would feel better. So Saturday, I worked on a couple of whips that I knew I had promised myself to give out. And I was just going to stick with those. When the order came through for the basket, I'm sorry, y'all. Forgive me, please. I told myself I was going to make those and I was done with it. So yesterday morning when I woke up, nope, Sunday morning when I woke up, I told myself then that I was not going to work on anything hard, anything difficult. I was just going to get projects together according to color and, those types of things. Just try to get some order. And I sat down and had a conversation with myself and asked myself, was that really going to fix the problem? Was I going to be satisfied after that? And that was where I had some kind of tearful moments. And I was like, I had to put that in the category of abandonment. If I were to get rid of my yarn, I would feel severely abandoned. And it would have been something that I had done to myself. And knowing that I already have abandonment issues, I didn't want to do that to myself. So what is the fix? I can't give you the fix for yours, because I'm sure all of us have been there at some point. But my fix was to work on one project and one project only from beginning to end. Put everything else aside and only work on that project. By that time, it was time for bed. When I got up Sunday morning, I went and got the yarn for the basket that I made yesterday, and I didn't work on anything else but that. I'm not a person who generally craves or needs or even wants instant gratification. I just want to be able to see projects through. So I have to force myself to become a little more organized in my thoughts. I am a person who writes everything down. I can show you. These were supposed to be bingo cards. This is figuring out times that I spend on certain crochet projects. That's keeping up with stitches. More keeping up with stitches. More figuring. So these are notes for today. I do write everything down. I need to come up with a system of where to put things. I have notebooks on top of notebooks, around notebooks, behind notebooks, in between notebooks, and tucked in pages of notebooks. I have notes the same way. I have, and I can go to things. I can tell you, okay, I wrote that down in a black notebook, but I have 6 of them. I wrote that down in a red notebook, which I know I've color coded things. I know my crochet is in either black or purple. I know that my medical things are in red. I know that household things are in gray. So everything is, I will do. I will definitely, definitely. Um, Everything is color coded, but in my mind, it's not color coded structurally or physically. And I need to do better. I have my system. I have not. I have not. But I have my system laid out in my mind. I just have not brought it into fruition. So that's one thing I have to work on. All of this is segueing into today's topic of accountability. Um, I don't like the feeling of burnout. I don't like the feeling of loss of control. Um, I'm not a control freak, but I'm micro organize or what is it? Micro organizational. I see the big picture of how I want it. But when I grab that notebook, I want each section in that notebook to mean something instead of this notebook being designated for that purpose. When I grab the notebook paper and I start writing things down, okay, this pack, I will even write on the front of that pack, this pack is for, but I don't have a binder or a folder to put it in. So I've got loose leaf paper everywhere. It's the same thing with the printer paper. I printed this out and it's here. I printed this out and it's there. I duplicate and triplicate things as far as printing them out. So I've got 2 and 3 copies of everything, and it's not necessary. I just need one place to put the one copy that I have. If I want to back up, that's cool. We can do the backup thing. I can have it in the computer, in the phone, in the Chromebook, and have a hard copy. That's fine, but I don't need 20 copies of them because then it becomes confusing and frustrating. So that is where accountability comes in. I need help with accountability. let's talk about what accountability is. It is the state of being answerable or responsible for one's actions and their outcomes. Last year, I started a sweater for myself, blue and gray, three-weight yarn, the Big Twist 1 pound plus or pound plus. And I have to thank Joan Minsky because she was on it. As far as holding me accountable, every conversation we had, how's the sweater coming along? What are you doing with the sweater? She was on her part. She she did her part. And it came down to the sleeves, which is where I have difficulty. And I kept trying and I kept trying and I kept trying, and it was not coming out. Now I can make sleeves by themselves, but I couldn't make the sleeves to fit the project that I had going. And I became frustrated and I decided I wasn't going that route and I got rid of it. The implications of accountability. Able to succeed, must be able to accept success. Be happy when you've accomplished something. I am. And I really, really am. I am so excited. It's another project that was finished last week. And it's got the price tag on it. So I'm good. I'm doing that part. But you also have to be able to accept failure. You're not going to be able to do everything you want to do. And that has to be accepted. It's not necessarily that you failed. It's just that this moment in this project is not working out the way you envisioned it, the way you planned it. You also have to be able to accept judgment. And I honestly tell you that most of my judgment comes from me. I am one who critiques myself, beats myself up, because not physically, only if a spider jumps out of the wallet. That's the story, y'all. Okay, so putting it all into perspective, accountability is acceptance of responsibility. I have Dollar Tree yarn. Got a bag full. I've got a case full. What I want to do with it is something that I have planned for next year, but something has to be done prior to next year. I want to try my hand at Avid bags, but I have to make the project before I just put it out here because I plan on writing a pattern for what I'm making. And if I can't write the pattern without making the project. So I have everything I need to make this project, not necessarily in the colors that I need. And right now I have enough of the colors to see how I want the project to come out. They did not have ready for me the colors that I needed. But like I said, I have enough colors and enough of each color to make the project that I want and come up with the pattern that's needed for the project. Answerability. I have people that I have to answer to. First and foremost, I have to answer to myself. I have to ask myself, is this feasible? Is this the thing to do? What comes of it? And the way I see it, I have to run. I will catch the replay. I love you too. I understand. You be safe. You be safe. Love you. And I have to accept the fact that if I put all this work, time, energy, and money into this, You know what I've learned, Marsha Lee, is that lots of times ideas, words, thoughts are given to us to share because we're not the only ones that are going through things. And when you hear from other people that they're going through it too, it kind of eases the pain of thinking that you're going through it alone. And sometimes, in rare cases, my solution may not be your solution, but there may be something in my solution that works for you. You feel me? So I learned that in poetry. Um, I am a spoken word artist, poet, and I would write. It's like I was blind writing. I would write according to what was just pouring out of my heart and my mind. No real thought put behind it, just putting it on paper. And sometimes I would preface my poem by saying, I don't know who this is for. And I would say my piece. And I'd be approached a lot of times afterwards with, that was for me. It's kind of like when you go to a motivational seminar and the person on the stage saying, I know someone can understand this, and they come up after, they'll be like, when you said this part, that was just for me. So that's what that is. Okay. You have to be able to know that or accept the commitment and fulfillment. I'm committed to making these items for the Advent bags because I want to see how it turns out. And the fulfillment, the follow through, the happiness that will come after will be earned. It'll definitely be earned. And I can't wait for that feeling. Now, I think that's what branches me off into starting so many whips. I can see the finished project in my mind, and I'm so anxious to see that project or see that I did that I bite off a little more than I can chew sometimes. And sometimes I think, regardless of being blind, I can still do the work, but I'm just hard on myself and over process things too much. I can approach that statement from so many levels. Okay. From the from the aspect of being disabled, when I was first taken out of work in 2020 with my heart condition and my arthritis, I felt like a certain part of my life was over. I couldn't do it anymore. Uh, and I wanted to put everything down. But I realized that even though they had taken me out of the rigmarole of the 9 to 5, I had things in my life that I enjoyed doing outside of that. And I remember before going to work, sitting in the living room crocheting while looking at TV saying, man, if this were my job, life would be perfect. Or sitting at an event and writing a poem based on the first statement that the host said and thinking the same thing, man, if this could be my job, life would be gravy. So here I am now presented with that opportunity. And I'm ready to give it up because the doctor said I can't work a 9 to 5. He didn't say I couldn't write poetry. He didn't say I couldn't crochet. The very first thing that happened after being taken out, I had double eye surgery. Yeah, it took the floaters away. It did. It took the floaters away. And I have lenses in my eyes that are not mine, which give me beautiful eye color. He didn't touch my eye color. But as my eyes change colors, they show up a lot better with these clearer lenses. But the eyesight, yes, I can see far now. But close up, it's not happening. I could complain, but I don't. I don't because I can still see that yellow is yellow. I can see that black is black. I can see that purple is purple. I know how to maneuver my crochet hook when I write lots of times. It may not be legible for other people, but I know what I wrote. I can go back to that line and I can remember what I wrote down in this area of the paper and figure out a few of the letters and know what that means. So it's not giving up. We're not going to keep frogging all of our work. And I say that because there are some things that I'm going to frog, but it's because that yarn needs to be put into another project that I have in mind. But what I have intended, what I have the intent of doing is what I did yesterday. When I start a project, I'm following through. I'm at least going to allocate time limits to items instead of the little 15 minutes that I keep giving myself. And I'm going around in circles with these projects, like 15 minutes on the Ghostbusters, 15 minutes on the crochet along, 15 minutes on my son's blanket, 15 minutes on. I'm going to stop doing that. I am going to stop doing that. I will, from breakfast time to lunchtime, work on a project. The next go round, I will pick something else. That keeps me from being bored with a project, number one. It also keeps the projects moving a gracious amount without it being just one or two rows. It just keeps things moving along and it helps me to see growth in those projects. When I did this basket yesterday, I had to put it down a few times because it was time for breakfast, because it was time for lunch, because it was time for snack, because I had to go to the store, or whatever situations came up. There were things that had to be done in between, and I had to address those things. So that's how I'm going about it from now on. Today, what I have planned is getting my colors together to make the first item, setting my notebook up so I can write the process down as I go. That's another reason I don't have patterns written out, because that process I will start and I'll get down to a certain point and I give up. It's like, why? I got confused. I didn't write the last row down. So instead of getting frustrated with that, I'm going to write that last row down. I'm going to move forward. And it's all about keeping ourselves motivated. In accountability, we have to be prepared for transparency. Did you finish that sweater? No. I didn't. Why? Because I got frustrated with the arms. Well, did you at least frog it? No, because it was 3-weight and pulling it apart. I was bound to run into some snags. I got rid of it. And then the trust. Trust the process, even when it comes down to not fulfilling or not seeing the project all the way through. Trust the process that you're going through. And also, like I said, recognize the continuous improvement. As I'm making these blankets, as I'm making this project, as I made that basket, every time I finished the section yesterday, I gave myself a kudos. When I finished the bottom, I'm like, yes. Made the decision of how many rounds I have to go for each one. When I finished the green, yes. The mint, look at this. I got enough. I can do this. The pink, the lighter pink, every single section meant that I was a little further along and I was getting closer to my end goal with each one. The project that I'm going to be working on today, which is not one of my whips, but the project that I'm going to be working on today, the first part of it is getting the colors together to make sure that I have the colors that are going to accent the spaces and areas that I need. The second part of that is getting started. Once I get the foundation of it going, if then I'm ready to put that aside and go to something else, that's fine. I will have gotten to that point, but that's my focus for today. I have to get to that before I can move on. And that's what we have to do when we are going through our works. We have to set goals for each stage of it. The crochet along that I was following, we're given the option in that of whether or not we want to add the border. The border is absolutely amazing. Well, I have to determine whether or not I want to add the border to mine. If I make one for myself, I definitely want the border, but it's going to be too much for the person that I'm making it for. Um, how am I going to, with the color scheme that I have, what am I going to choose to make that border really pop, really, make that work, show the beauty that's on the inside of that border? Because the project itself is absolutely beautiful as it stands. It is, excuse me, it's absolutely amazing as it stands. And what's beautiful about the whole process is that each week that he drops a section, and I'm speaking of one, but each week that he drops a section, those sections can stand alone. What he dropped in the first week, you can make those squares and put them together, and they would be absolutely beautiful. They would make a gorgeous blanket. I can see it now. You make 9 of them, a dream. What he dropped in week 2, you make 4 of them, and a dream. Here again, there you have it. You go through the third day. Each one, as it builds, you can make less or more or whatever. You can make a blanket out of just making it up to those steps. Or you can follow through and make the one big blanket. And as it goes along and grows, you just see the beauty in it. But you have to set your own goals and boundaries, just like in life when we have to set boundaries. What will we permit? What will we not permit? And you have to stand your ground on that, even with yourself. Today, like I said, it's getting the colors together and working up the foundation of what I'm making, knowing that I have to write each step down, and then I can either move forward from that, set my next goal, or with that project, or pick up another project, set a goal for that, and follow through. No more, I'm going to do 20 rows of this today. Today I plan to do 20 rows here, 10 rows here. I'm going to pick this up and do a square. I'm not doing that to myself anymore. I'm completing this task. And if I get through this today, then I can move to the next step. I need to stop giving myself these fantastical goals. And that's another thing we have to do, because whereas I was looking at it from the back end, if I set my goals at 100 projects a day and I finished 50, then at least I was halfway there. I'm seeing that cup half full instead of, how about we set it for 10 and we do those 10, and that list is accomplished before we move on to the next. So we have to be accountable. And don't forget, like I said, our yarn, our video star of the week is Yarn Geek Ginger. Her information, her link is in the description box below. There's also a quick short that I ran across this morning that kind of asks, what kind of Yarnie are you? So please check that video out. I found it to be absolutely Amusing, but spot on. Spot on. I am definitely the acrylic and cotton girl. I'm definitely. But when I was watching that video this morning, it was, it tickled me, but it was so, like I said, it was spot on. It was absolutely spot on. And it made my morning. And I hope that it does the same for each one of you. I can tell you what I have in my cup. Those of you who know me know that I have my Folgers 1850 black gold. I have 14 ounces of that. I tried that pattern and I got the first part, and then I gave up. Yes, you do. You do. You do. Um, and then my creamer is International Delight. Today it's just the caramel macchiato. So actually, I'm almost done with week 4. But even this alone, and because of the fact that I have so many colors, is why I'm really debating a border. Look, this is, and I think it's absolutely beautiful. I think it is absolutely beautiful. hmm And I think if I were to revisit it, which I am because I need one for myself, which is something you rarely hear me say, but this, I need this in my life. But what I would do different is I would make 2 rows of each of these. Yep. So I would have 6 rows of flowers because I really enjoyed doing those. And more than just enjoying doing them, it just, to me, brought everything else out. It just, if I had a garden of flowers, I think it would surround my vegetable garden. These are real gardens. It would surround my vegetable garden, and I would want the thickness of the flowers. I love colorful flowers. My favorite flower is the carnation. And the only way I like real flowers is when they're growing out of the ground. I don't I don't like I don't like to be gifted flowers. I don't like flowers in arrangements or that come from flower shops. I grew up in a funeral home, and they just remind me of funerals. But it's something about the flowers being mixed with the outside air and the soil that just give it an organic smell that makes it absolutely beautiful. Not only the visual, but just taking that all in. It's living. You can almost feel the plants breathing, and it's a good, wholesome feeling. The only way I like flowers gifted to me is plastic, paper, material. That's just a me quirk. Like I said, because of growing up in Hamilton's funeral home in Wilson, North Carolina. Yeah. So, uh, so there was something I was telling you all earlier when I said that's a story. So in 2000, this part of it will sound a little sad, but this was when I had my first heart attack. Now, what had happened was We lived in a duplex, and right outside our back door was a bush. And we were renting. I had a wallet, a black, like, billfold wallet that I used all the time. And I decided to put the wallet down for a while, use another wallet. I went and bought myself another wallet. And I put it right by the back door. I'm sorry, excuse me. But I put it right by the back door on the shelf, on the cabinet. But I mean, it was right by the back door. I'm loving the way how he makes his square blankets. Yes, I've been making a couple of them. He is a good teacher. Juan is a very good teacher. Juan is a dynamic teacher, and he makes it fun. His occasional giggle just makes you laugh along with him. But the wallet, so I put it on the counter. It stays there for about 3 months, and I decide I want to use this wallet again. Okay, to make sure everything is cleared from it, I could go ahead on and start putting other things in. I just pick the wallet up, I turn around, I unzip it, and when I open it, this black spider jumped out and on me. Y'all, if I didn't tell you before, I need you to understand that your girl is severely arachnophobic. I commenced to beating myself. I beat myself up so badly. And the shock of it all, I had a heart attack. I did. My bestie and my son called 911, got me out of there to the hospital. I beat myself so bad that when I got to the hospital, they kept trying to convince me to tell someone that I was in an abusive relationship. And I kept trying to explain to the doctors that I had done this to myself. And they were like, no, 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 no. There's no way you could have done this to yourself. And I'm telling them, you don't understand. There was a spider. Y'all, I beat myself so bad and I danced all over that kitchen. And it's funny that I'm wearing green today because I had on a green dress. I remember it like it was yesterday. But I danced all over that kitchen and that spider until my family actually grabbed me and said, hey, hey, Mom, Kitty, it's dead. You got it. The spider. It is no more. I look back now and I laugh, but I mean, because it was funny to me. I'm here now. Come on, come on. Let's get over the bad part of it. But yes, I'm here now. So it was an experience. And to me, it was a funny moment. And if it made someone feel sad or upset, I apologize. I see it as comical because I'm here. I am here. But that was my story time. So I know you all don't know what I'm making, but I'm going to ask you all for a little bit of help. We're going to pick colors. Okay, I pretty much know that the black and the brown, they're going to, I don't know. I need to show you the brown because what I'm looking for is like right here. Now, this is actually one of the color schemes. This is actually the color scheme of one of the projects that I'm making. Yeah. And this is close to another one. If you add green in with this one, that's going to be another one. The other one, you're going to add blue to it. Those are the three color schemes that I have in mind. But the colors I have on hand right now are these. And that's purple, brown. What color do they say this is? This is ruby. It's close to red as they had at the time. But the ruby, white, yellow, and baby pink, those are the colors that I have. And then the other side of that is, being that I have 3 themes, do I want to make 3 different projects? Or if I do I want to include the pattern for all 3 and people can choose which one they want to make? See where I'm going with this? But I've given myself ample time to do this. And I've decided, since I'm freshest in the morning, that I will work on this until 4 o'clock. After 4 o'clock, that's after we make, that's the snack time, kid time, homework time, all that good stuff. That's that 2-hour window until 6 p.m. After 6 p.m., I'll be able to focus on my other projects. So that is the goal that I have given myself. So what do you all see in color combos other than the first one I showed you, which we already know what that one is? And that was these 4. So I know the color combos that I'm going to make. I just want to know what color combos to use to. And you know what? I think I just talked myself into what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead on and do this one. And that way it'll already be in the color scheme of what I want. See how you guys help me out? Y'all are good. Y'all are real good. I'm going to have to hire y'all. Yep. So that's what we're going to do. White, ruby. Okay, there's 6 of them. 7, 8, 9, and 10. See, I got 10 of them in here. So that is my color scheme. And hopefully Thursday, when we meet, we will be halfway through this project. Depends on where I get today. So I have until 4 o'clock. I have a little more than 3 hours to work on this and to get it going. Sip on my coffee, sip on my water. I've already eaten my breakfast. I already had my meds. So I know Michelle would be proud of me. And we're going to get to crocheting, guys. I love you guys. I thank you for your energy. I thank you for your comments. I thank you for your love. I hope that you left your thummies on your way in. If you didn't, please, before you check out, leave those thumbs. Don't forget to share my videos. If you're not subscribed, please do. Please do. It helps in the algorithm. It helps me reach my goal. And also, when you do subscribe and you see that notification bell, hit the one with the dimples so that you'll always know when I'm here. I love you guys. Don't forget to be bold, be brave, be beautiful, and behave. Remember, Kitty Lane told you. Remember, Kitty Lane loves you. So until we see each other again on these YouTube streets, peace out, everybody.